Okay, so let's jump right in. Everyone's basically been watching Kyle Richards and Morgan Wade, haven't they? Especially since Kyle and Mauricio split last year.
Oh, absolutely. That speculation has been nonstop.
And this recent Europe trip they took, it just poured fuel on the fire. They were spotted together, looked pretty close. In the UK, Amsterdam.
Ireland and Scotland too, yeah. Lots of pictures circulate.
Given Kyle's whole Real Housewives profile, anything like this in her personal life is going to get massive attention. It's just how it is.
Exactly. Being that public means your relationships become public domain to an extent.
Right. And then, okay, Morgan Wade was on tour over there. During one show, she did a cover of Your Love by The Outfield.
Classic track.
But here's the kicker. When she got to the line, "You know I like my girls a little bit older," reports say she, smirked and kind of glanced off to the side of the stage.
Okay, that specific line, considering, the age difference. Morgan's what, early 30s and Kyle's in her 50s? Singing that line with a look, that's practically inviting people to connect the dots, isn't it? Given all the background noise.
Totally. And the internet, predictably, just exploded. Clips started flying around, everyone analyzing the smirk, the glance.
Let me guess. Hashtag confirmation was trending.
Pretty much. A lot of comments about her laughing right after singing it, too. Many fans online were basically saying, okay, that's it, they're together. And Kyle herself hasn't exactly been hiding. She's been posting loads of photos and videos from the trip on her social media.
Right, which keeps the whole thing front and center. She's not confirming anything verbally, but sharing that kind of trip so openly definitely fuels the speculation machine. It keeps their connection in the conversation.
It's interesting, too, because around the same time, Morgan did an interview where she talked about connecting with her audience, really connecting.
Yeah. What'd she say?
She talked about sharing her own stuff, struggles with mental health, her sobriety journey, and how that builds this real community feeling at her concerts.
That makes a lot of sense. Artists who are open about that stuff, about being human, often forge really strong bonds with their fans. It's relatable.
Yeah, she even specifically thanked her fans for their support, mentioned her band being part of it all. It really doubled down on that community vibe she mentioned. Well, for anyone glued to this story, the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills Season 14 reunion is on the horizon.
Ah, yes, the reunion. You'd have to think this whole situation's gonna come up, wouldn't you?
It seems almost inevitable, right? With this much buzz, reunion shows live for digging into this kind of off-screen drama.
Absolutely. It would be a pretty big elephant in the room if they didn't address it in some capacity. So let's talk about Luis Ruelas. Teresa Cutiche's husband from Real Housewives of New Jersey. Reports are swirling about some pretty serious financial issues.
Yeah, I've been seeing that. We're talking significant tax liens, right? Millions.
That's right. Apparently $2.5 million personally. And then there's also talk he recently needed extensions on loans. Big ones.
Like over $1 million total, wasn't it? $1 million plus another $250,000.
Exactly. So a lot of financial pressure, clearly. But here's the twist. Right in the middle of all this financial drama, he announces a brand new venture.
Oh, what kind of venture? Something totally different.
Sort of. He's launching something called the TikTok Creator Network Program.
Okay, TikTok Creator Network Program. Interesting timing given the other news. What's the goal?
Well, according to Luis himself, in a video he put out, it's designed to help TikTok creators, specifically those who go live, make more money.
Ah, helping others make money.
Yeah. He basically said if creators aren't getting paid properly for their live streams on TikTok, they're, this is his quote, leaving money on the table.
Okay, so positioning it as a solution for underpaid creators, how does it supposedly work?
So the program, which he says operates through something called Social Shop Network, acts as a middleman. It directly connects the TikTok creators with brands.
Right, like an agency or a platform.
Right.
Brands want exposure, creators have audiences. Makes sense.
Precisely. And the benefit pitch to the creators is that these brands will pay them to promote and sell products during their live streams.
So direct brand deals facilitated by his network, instead of just relying on TikTok gifts or whatever.
Exactly. He framed it as, no more guesswork or waiting around, just earnings from real engagement. Get paid directly for pushing products. And he really pushed that. He encouraged creators, quote, go live and get paid. Simple as that. More activity, more opportunities for these brand partnerships through his network. And the call to action was pretty clear. If you're a creator ready to level up on TikTok, earn like a pro, then apply today.
Apply to his network, the Social Shop Network.
Right, through the TikTok Creator Network program.
Okay, so tying it all together, you've got Luis reportedly facing quite substantial personal debt, millions in tax liens, needing loan extensions.
Yeah, the $2.5 million personal scenario, the $1 million plus $250K loan extensions.
And then he announces this program basically saying, hey, TikTokers, you're not earning enough. Join my network. I'll connect you with brands and you'll make more money selling their stuff on your lives.
That's the gist of it. The contrast is, well, it's noticeable.
It certainly is. You wonder about the mechanics. Is this a genuine effort to help creators or primarily a way to generate income for himself, given the circumstances? Or maybe both.
And the core offering really seems to be that brand connection piece, facilitating paid promotions during live stream.
Which, can be valuable if the network has good brands and fair deals for the creators. The details there are crucial.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's kick things off down in Atlanta, RHOA. There's some noise resurfacing around Angela Oakley, one of the newer faces, and her husband Charles. An old Wendy Williams clip is making the rounds.
Oh yeah, what's the gist?
Well, in it, Wendy claims Angela admitted, years ago, to forgiving Charles for having a baby outside their marriage. It's funny how old stuff like that suddenly gets new legs, right? And Angela, well, she jumped right on it, hit Instagram, called the article insane, used some stronger words, basically yelling, "This ain't my story."
But a denial like that can sometimes just add fuel to the fire.
And it seems this clip amplified some stuff fans were already wondering about. Apparently, in a recent RHOA episode, Angela listed her kids and their ages, but pointedly didn't mention the age of their son, Charlie Jr. And the online sleuths are on the case. There's a TikTok going around pointing out timeline stuff, like Angela mentioned this 2017 incident where Charles got kicked out of an event.
Right, I remember hearing about that.
Well, the TikToker points out they were newly married then, and their youngest child together is 7. But Charlie Jr. is older than the 7-year-old, but younger than Angela's 11-year-old son. It's a bit confusing. TikToker suggests maybe Charlie Jr.'s birth year is right around when they got married. Could explain maybe a past separation or why they keep doing vow renewals. It's all speculation.
Makes you wonder, though, is it deliberate intrigue for the show or just, guarding personal stuff? And how much real are we actually getting?
Exactly. The audience is basically writing their own script with a missing piece. And on Instagram, comments seem suspicious. People noted the age omission, some even saying they believe Wendy. So yeah, this whole clip kicked off a whole thing. And surprisingly, a bit of New Jersey too, thanks to, Bethenny Frankel. Always making waves.
Naturally. What's she saying now?
She was on the Skinny Confidential Him and Her podcast, claimed a RHONY Costar tried to sabotage her back when she first left after season 3, because she got her spinoff. And she didn't stop there. Said those same castmates were later crawling back, begging her to return when the ratings dipped.
Wow.
Then she dropped the money bomb, said she came back with a prima donna's multi-million-dollar contract, earning millions more than the others.
Whoa.
She also talked about watching rough cuts of episodes, not for fun, but to see how fans were reacting, basically brace herself for backlash. And speaking of looking back, she's thinking about recapping old RHONY episodes on Instagram, spilling behind-the-scenes tea.
Oh, fans would love that. Bethenny's unfiltered take years later, that could be gold. Shows she's finding new ways to connect, revisit her past on her own.
For sure. Of course, RHONY itself got that huge reboot, right? New, younger cast after season 13.
Yeah, a total reset.
So, Bethenny weighed in on Gia Giudice defending Teresa and Luis over their reported, $3 million tax debt.
Right. It's funny how they all comment on each other's drama across franchises, like a big, messy Bravo family.
And Bethenny, she called Gia ill-advised and not educated about finances on Instagram. Said she usually doesn't comment, but felt she had to warn younger women about money mistakes, like she's mentoring them, kind of.
Fair enough, but wasn't there something about her not actually watching RHONJ anymore?
Yeah, she admitted she doesn't know the difference between Teresa's daughters because she hasn't watched since season 1. So her expertise on this specific situation is limited.
Right, so...
But her main point, she hammered this home, was prenups. Absolutely essential, she said, no matter how much money you have. Compared not having one to, trusting someone with your house keys without a contract. Pure folly. And she brought up Gia apparently being upset years ago that Joe made Teresa sign. So she's really digging into the family history there, addressing what she sees as, a misunderstanding about prenups.
Beverly Hills, Lisa Vanderpump, she was on Bravo's Hot Mic podcast talking about leaving.
Right, after season 9, she said it was just too negative and she regretted doing that season at all after her brother passed away. And Puppygate naturally came up. She talked about the Dorrit dog situation and how Kyle not believing her denial about leaking the story was really the end of their friendship.
Puppygate was so divisive. You can hear how deep that feeling of betrayal went for not being believed by a close friend. That's tough.
She didn't mince words about Kyle either. Said Kyle hasn't been truthful about her own life, and while she misses what they had the laughs, the late night calls, Now it's just indifference. Sounds like Lisa really was a support system for Kyle, especially with her sisters. They had fun, but the arguing, bitchiness, accusations, it just took over. A shame. Speaking of Dort, Lisa said she's not really in touch with PK now that he and Dort are separated. But interestingly, she knew for a long time he was living in a hotel.
Oh, really?
But she did say she might reconnect with PK down the line, called him a great guy. But her connection with Dort was mostly through PK, so that's faded.
Yeah.
Now, switching to Vanderpump Rules, on that same podcast, Lisa talked about the reboot with the new cast. Said the original cast's attitude changed.
Like they got too famous, maybe? Moved away from the original SUR-focused concept?
Pretty much. She felt they'd told the story after 11 seasons, especially since none of them work at SUR now. The premise had shifted.
Yeah, the authenticity of the workplace drama was probably harder to maintain once they all became, reality stars.
She had nice things to say about Schwartz, though. Called him lovely, felt bad for him during Scandival, said he just wants to please everyone. And she's still fond of Lala. Remembers talking her and Stassi out of quitting years ago. Seems proud of Lala's growth, especially as a mom. Interestingly, she got a text or something from Ariana after the reboot news, but nothing from Katie, which she said wasn't surprising.
Ooh.
And finally, on James Kennedy's arrest, Lisa clarified some earlier comments, felt she was taken out of context, said she was disappointed, pointed to his history when he drinks.
Right. Sounds like maybe she got some backlash for her initial reaction. She's emphasizing the pattern.
Yeah, she insisted she was stern with him, reminded him how much he had to lose, said she'd always supported his success. She acknowledged he was sober, like 60 days then, but questioned if he could maintain it long term. Cautiously optimistic, but realistic too. Back to Beverly Hills drama. Erika Jayne this time, facing backlash for calling her reunion dress designer a random designer. Turns out he's not random at all. Instagram account at FaceReality16 pointed out the designer was Valdrin Sahidi. He's dressed Beyonce, Nicki Minaj, J-Lo. Fans are calling her self-centered, bringing up her past issues with designers. Remember that credit card fraud, lawsuit stuff.
Right, so people see a pattern.
Yeah, someone on Twitter, Babalwa Blue, called the remarks snarky. Okay, let's head south. Southern Charm, with a bit of Summer House crossover. Maddison LaCroix was on Watch What Happens Live. Talked about her relationship with Paige DeSorbo. Now that Paige and Craig Conover split, said Paige actually ghosted her after she reached out, and Paige didn't congratulate her on her pregnancy.
Ooh.
Maddison mentioned seeing Craig on WWHL, saying he ended his friendship with Vanita because Vanita supported Paige. Lines are definitely being drawn. Though Maddison did say she and Vanita resolved their own past drama at the reunion. So sometimes they can work things out.
True. Reunions can be good for that.
On the after show, Maddison talked about Craig's rumored new girlfriend, Natalie Buffett. Said she doesn't think it's too soon for him to date since he was the one dumped like 3 months ago.
Fair point. Everyone moves at their own pace. She's defending Craig's timing.
Right. Maddison hasn't met Natalie, but Andy Cohen chimed in, saying he might have met her somewhere else. Small world, huh? Maddison also said she was sad about Leva Bonaparte leaving Southern Charm. Said they were real friends off camera, even if they didn't film much together.
And sounds like a personal loss for Maddis, too.
Maddison also kind of defended Craig against criticism, the Summer House cast, basically saying he's on my team. As for Craig being blindsided by the Paige breakup, Maddison thinks it was maybe a bit of both, blind and blindsided. Admitted she needs to actually watch Summer House. But here's a surprise. Maddison said she's still super close with her ex, Austin Kroll. Calls him her bestie. And apparently, her husband Brett is totally cool with the friendship. Sounds pretty healthy, actually.
Good for them. Refreshing to hear.
Okay, let's dive straight into Summer House now. That episode, where Lindsay suspected Carl cheated because his ex-flame, Will Aronoff, mentioned meeting him last summer.
Right. Cue the drama.
But wait, Will went on her Instagram story to clear things up. Said her first DM to Carl was actually October 2023, after he and Lindsay broke up. She even posted a screenshot.
Oh, so she actively corrected the timeline with receipts. That's interesting, challenging Lindsay's narrative directly.
Yep, her caption was pretty blunt too. October comes after August, basically saying the timing proves it wasn't cheating during the relationship.
Okay, that definitely throws water on Lindsay's immediate accusation based on the last summer comment. Shows you gotta check the facts, right?
Yeah.
Especially on these shows.
True. But Lindsay also mentioned seeing a DM with a phone number on Carl's phone before the breakup, which he quickly closed. So maybe the little thing just triggered existing trust issues.
Sounds like there were underlying insecurities already.
And the Lindsay's reaction was intense. Called Carl a gaslighter, manipulator, fraud, phony, liar, and now a cheater.
Whoa. Yeah, that's a lot. Really shows the depth of her anger and hurt, doesn't it? The personal stakes are very...
Okay, last Tom Sandoval. He was on Nick Vial's podcast talking about James Kennedy's arrest.
Oh, yeah. What was his take?
Said there's absolutely no excuse for a man to put his hands on a woman. Pretty standard line. But he also referenced past accusations against James.
Right.
Sandoval also sounded annoyed about rumors of his drug use. Cocaine specifically. Denied it firmly. Even brought up Jax Taylor admitting his addiction. Maybe as a contrast.
Could be trying to distance himself, project a cleaner image after everything.
He gave an update on cast connections too. Said he's talking to Shiana and Lala again. Different life stages, but reconnecting now that the show's pressure is off.
That's interesting. Maybe some genuine friendships can survive Vanderpump Rules after all once the cameras are gone.
And he's still tight with Schwartz, naturally. Mentioned a trip they took. Said he's more of a homebody now, focused on health. Sobriety claims 8 months sober.
Right.
He also doubled down on calling Vanderpump Rules toxic. Said the show rewards bad behavior, pushes confrontation, uses alcohol and lack of sleep, and editing twists things. We covered a lot of ground today. Atlanta controversies, Bethenny being Bethenny, Lisa reflecting, Erika's oops moment, Maddison's complicated Charleston life, Summer House timelines, Sandoval's perspective. It's a whirlwind.